Hey, so welcome back to the Just a Little Bit Out West podcast. This week we are talking about something that I saw when I was working at the golf course, and I really believe that golf in a lot of ways is a metaphor for life. The thing that I saw is that in the rules of golf, this is how it works, is that you hit the ball, and then no matter where that ball goes, you go to where that ball is, and that's where you hit it from. And it doesn't matter whether you wanted to hit it there. It doesn't matter if you meant to hit it there. It doesn't matter if a little breeze came along and blew it out of the way. You still have to go there and hit it from there. In a similar way, in our life, things that happen to us, the things that we do or don't do, those things are just the way that they are. There's not much that can be done once, as the old saying goes, once that water goes under the bridge, you can't really get it back. It's gone. And you just have to deal with it the way it is. Now in golf, there is a quote-unquote rule. They call it a mulligan. And what that is like a do-over. If you don't like the shot that you made, and you say to your friends, hey, I'm going to shoot a mulligan, then sometimes they'll let you have that do-over, and you can just hit it again. The thing about life, though, is that you really can't do that, can you? It's not really an option to have a do-over in most cases. Now, I mean, once you get saved, in terms of your relationship with God, there absolutely is a do-over. But in your relationships with other people and in the situations that you've created, there really isn't. You are stuck with where it is, and now you have to go ahead and proceed from there. The reason this is important, the reason I bring it up, is because if you don't realize this, then you're going to have a really difficult time in life, because you're always going to be wishing things weren't the way that they are, or that you had done things differently. And I mean, we all have regrets. I have many regrets in my life. But I also have to come to a point where I say to myself, you know what, there's not much I can do about that. I mean, now, look, if you can do something about that, you definitely should go and do something about that. But in most cases, you are where you are. It is what it is. And there's nothing you can do about that other than to deal with it, right? Looking back on your past and seeing these areas where you wish you had done things differently, the bad thing about that is that's not really very productive. You're not really going to get very far spending very much time looking back there. If you take the attitude that a golfer does and say, okay, that's where it is and that's where I have to hit from, you're going to be a lot more stable. You just deal with it. It is what it is, and you just deal with it, right? And there is this principle that once you've done that and you see how it turned out, then if you're smart, you can plan for your next shot and do it differently. The next time something comes up, you can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do it differently this time around. There seems to be this principle in life that we keep going around the same issues sometimes, where this same thing comes up all the time. And if you don't deal with it, and if you don't deal with it right, and I don't know if this is God or if it's just life, but you keep coming back around to these certain things. If you have an issue in your life where you deal with things in a wrong way, those issues are going to keep coming up until you deal with it in the right way. And if we're able to relax under this kind of phenomenon, we're really going to be a lot more happy. We're going to be able to fix some of our ways that we deal with things, and the next time around, we'll do it differently. One of the ways that you see this principle acted out in the Bible, it's really a fun story. Paul and Silas have a dream, and in this dream, this man says, "Come over to Macedonia." That's Greece, basically. And this man says, "Come to Macedonia and teach us about Jesus." And so Paul and Silas get ready, and they go over there to this different country, different place, and they start teaching about Jesus. And there's this woman, and this woman has a evil spirit that she uses to tell prophecies to people. And she's going around, and this devil is speaking through her. And Paul gets tired of this after a while, and he's just kind of like, "Okay, lady, you got to be quiet. This is not helping." And so he casts the devil out of her. Well, here's the problem is there was some other guys pimping her out and making money off of the fortunes that she was telling. And so they go and they get Paul and Silas arrested. Paul and Silas go to jail. They beat them and treat them very poorly. And if I was in that situation, I would probably be saying, "Oh, this is great, Paul. I'm really glad you did that. Way to go. Here we are. We're in jail. And this is not going very well. I need a mulligan. I want a mulligan on this trip to Greece. I'm going home. First train out of town, I'm going home." But instead, Paul and Silas, they decide to have a praise service in the middle of the prison, and they're singing and praising God and having a good time. And even though they're in chains, they're singing and praising God so loud, it says that the other prisoners could hear them. That's quite a praise service in a pretty dark place. And so then what happens is that there's this earthquake. The earthquake happens, and all of the people's chains fall off, so it must have been a supernatural kind of an earthquake. And then the guy who was running the jail, he comes in, and he's scared that he's going to be responsible because all these prisoners are probably escaped now that they don't have chains on them. And so he's going to kill himself. And Paul says, wait, don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself. We're all here. We're here. Everything's fine. And by the way, you need to know Jesus. And so the prison guard, he says, "Okay, well, let's talk about it." And he gets saved, and all of his family gets saved. Well, this is such a great story. Paul just followed the bouncing ball, and he just dealt with it. It was an adventure, and he knew God was on his side, and he knew that God was going to take care of him. The next thing that happens is that the powers that be find out about the whole thing, and they realize they made a super bad mistake because they arrested Paul, who was a Roman citizen, and they shouldn't have done that because as a citizen he had certain rights. And they said, "Well, hey, Paul, we're going to just let you go." And Paul says, "No, you're not. You're not just letting me go. You're going to come down here and apologize personally to me, or else I'm taking this to court, and we're going to see who comes out of this in good shape, because I am a Roman citizen, and I'm a Pharisee, and I'm a Pharisee of the Pharisees, and all of the things that Paul is." And so they did. I mean, these guys came down there and they apologized, and they said, "We're really sorry, and be blessed, and we're sorry." And so Paul leaves. This is such a great story because what we're seeing here is that Paul just looks at it as, okay, this is the way it is. The golf ball didn't go where I meant for it to go, but whatever. We'll just hit it from here. This is really important for our lives. We have to be able to come into that place like Paul talks about in Hebrews 4:11. He says we labor. In other words, we put in work in order to rest. That's a paradox. You've heard me mention this before, but it is a scriptural godly truth that it takes effort in order to come against these forces that come against us. And so we labor in order to remain in this place of trust with God. And in that place of trust, we can rest, knowing that God's going to work it out in our best interest. So I would just say, let's be like Paul and Silas, and let's just follow the bouncing ball. It's not that we don't care, it's that we know how it's going to turn out. It's kind of like going to the back of the book and you see how it turns out. And if you know how it's going to turn out, you don't sweat it when you're going through these hard places. There's a football game that I watch every once in a while, and the team that I liked was losing really badly in the third quarter. And I was really depressed and upset by that. And yet I kept watching, and this team came back from certain defeat and won the game. And every once in a while I remind myself, you can't go by how it looks. You don't know what's going on. God is doing things behind the scenes. Things can turn around and change very quickly if you'll put your trust in God and rest in Him. All right, I got to go. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.